Hey there! This is the top 5 mistakes that you can make in the fragrance game. Now, all of us, myself included, have made at least one of these mistakes at some point in their journey through this thing we call collecting perfume. So, just wanted to preface that we are not immune to making a few little missteps along the way, but hopefully this video will serve as some help for those who are newer to the game and prevent you from making a few missteps. So, without further ado, number 5, do not ever buy a designer fragrance at full price from a retail store like Macy's or Sephora or anything like that. Under very, very select circumstances should you ever do it. That would be if it is a brand new release or if it is a line that you absolutely cannot get elsewhere for below retail. In this case, places like Amazon, Fragrance Net, which does sell legit juice, Overstock, secondhand retailers like that in this scenario will be your best bet. They'll sell them cheaper, the juice is just as good, and you don't have to deal with the annoying store associates that places like Macy's are just notorious for. They're terrible. It's a terrible shopping experience there. You shouldn't do it at all. It's terrible. Number 4, don't ever buy something based solely on hype. Hype either from the internet, Facebook, YouTube videos, people like me. Make your own decisions. It's good to look at reviews, it's good to hear other people's opinions, and I certainly am not saying you shouldn't factor that into your purchasing decision. You should, but buying something just because one or two people are like, oh my god, this is the best thing in the world, you guys have to try this. No, don't do that. Read reviews, read information about the juice. Use Fragrantica. That's one of my personal favorite sites to go to when I'm looking into a juice, just to get some reference points for it. There's a lot of, though if you go to the Fragrantica page, there's all those little reviews below it. It's kind of like Yelp for fragrance in a sense, in that you kind of have to weed through some of the garbage that's there, but look for consistencies. Look for people making similar comments about fragrance. That's when you start to get a sense of really what it's like. So gather a lot of information. If every single thing you read about it says that it is the most amazing thing ever, alright, fine. If it sounds like something you want, give in to the hype and go for it. But I can't tell you the number of times I've seen somebody give in to the hype and buy something like a Pure Malt or a Dior Homme Intense because everybody said it was the best thing in the world, only to find out that they hated it. So, don't buy into the hype unless it really is for you. Do your homework. Number 3, don't ever wear a generic fragrance on a first date with someone. This is really an underrated mistake. It's a great time to wear a fragrance. It's a great time to get that little boost of confidence that it can give you. But at the same time, you also run the risk if you wear something like a Fierce or an Acqua di Gio or a Polo or Chrome, something that a lot of people like to wear for good reason. There can be good juice, but very well might be something that your date had had previous experience with. There's nothing worse than going on a first date, showing up, and smelling like your date's ex. That's a losing proposition for you. So find something that suits your personality, suits how you feel, suits how you want the person to remember you, that suits the situation that you two are going to, be it a little bit more intimate or a little bit more outgoing, what type of restaurant it may be, or if you're going to a movie, if you're going to a nightclub, whatever it is. Let's see if you can find something that's a little bit more unique, something that your date will remember you by, because ultimately that's where fragrance comes in the most, is you want that to be something that your date remembers specifically about you and associates with you, then it's hit a home run. Number 2, do not overspray. Please, I beg you, stop overspraying. It's unnecessary. When you put on 10, 12 sprays of something, no, just don't do it. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for everybody around you to hate you. It's an unnecessary idea. Even the most weak things in the world, think of the most absolute watered down piece of shit juice you've ever smelled. If you spray it 10 to 12 times on you, it's still going to be a watered down piece of shit that doesn't last very long. So there's no need to spray that much. After a while, you start to get olfactory fatigue from smelling that much that you can't smell it and think you need more. So you put 6 sprays of it on your arm, it overwhelms you, and then 15 minutes later you can't smell it, and oh God, I gotta put more on. No, you don't. Don't do it. 2 to 3 sprays, 3 to 4, sometimes more depending on the situation that you're in. Under very, very select circumstances should you really start overspraying into the 6, 7, 8, 9 range. Very select. Going out to a nightclub where everybody's wearing all sorts of shit. Otherwise, stop it with this. I see people saying, I put on 10 sprays of Aventus today. No, don't do that. Stop it. I put on 12 sprays of 1 million. You should give people a gas mask around you if you're going to do that. So stop it with the overspraying. You don't need much more than 2 or 3. One on your shirt, one on your chest, your arms, whatever it may be, whatever works for you, but quit it with that, all right? And finally, the number 1 mistake you can make wearing fragrance, and inevitably a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but at the risk of sounding like a pompous jackass, I'm right. Do not wear fragrance to a job interview. Do not, under any circumstance, do it. Nothing good can come of it. Yes, as I said before, sometimes fragrance can give you confidence. That is true. However, it can also absolutely torpedo your chances of getting a job. I work in an office where we used to previously be a staffing company. And we had someone who was in charge of essentially being a headhunter and a job placement coordinator. And I can't tell you how many times he told me he turned somebody down because they were wearing too much perfume, both men and women. It happens. Don't do it. Show up to your job interview freshly showered, shaven, if that's what you do. Put on some deodorant. Leave it at that. There are so many red flags that can come up, so many landmines, that's the best way to put it, landmines that can come up from wearing a fragrance to a job interview. Number 1, the person could have multiple chemical sensitivity, meaning they are functionally allergic to fragrance, and it makes them sick. You're not getting that job if that's the case. And not everybody likes to disclose that, and they're not required to. Number 2, you don't know what that scent could evoke from that person's memory. You don't know if maybe the hiring manager or one of the people you're interviewing with knows someone who previously wore that or wore something like it. Maybe they like it or don't like it. You don't know. Maybe the people you're interviewing with just plain don't like what you're wearing. You don't want to introduce these factors into something as important as a job interview, especially if it's for a position that you really want. Very rarely is there an exception to this. Perhaps if you were applying for a job in the perfume industry, or if you're at some type of beauty store or something within the perfume and beauty industry, then maybe it can be acceptable. I've never applied for that, so I don't know if that's something that's considered passé or not. But if it's in an office, if it's in a corporate setting, if it's in an other type of retail setting, just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. If you are so inclined to do it, if fragrance is something that really is part of your way to boost your confidence, try spraying it on a card before you leave for your interview. Spray what you want on a card. Stick it in your pocket after it dries. Keep it with you on your way to the interview. Smell it if you need. Smell it as you get out of your car, get off the train, to give yourself that scent, and then throw it in the trash right before you walk into the office. Try that. Odds are unlikely that it'll really trail with you that much. You're not putting it on your skin, and you get the experience with it. But by all means, please, please, don't wear cologne to a job interview. So there it is, top 5 mistakes. I've made them. I have bought fragrance wholesale from a department store way back in the day. I stupidly wore some fragrances on dates way back when I was single at the time, and it did not work. I have not worn fragrance to a job interview, I can say that. So there's that. But point is, we've all made them. We're not above it. So hopefully this deters somebody from making one of those mistakes. All right? See you soon.